by tear gas the way we always have.
But I'm like the perfect guy to be single because
creating ways for men to come together.
what's going on? If you're listening, rate, share, subscribe. If you're listening, you could also watch on Big Mood TV. Today we have a very dear friend of mine, Mike the Money Guy, owner, founder, CEO of Decade Financial Solutions, owner, founder of Appleton Automations, and sits on the board of Big Mood Mental Health and Social Advocacy Group, and he's our lead strategist. We have Michael Dunn.
What up, though? What up, though? You know what's crazy is our relationship has evolved, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like we got to make it a point to do this at least once or twice a year.
Yeah, every 6 months or so.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because it's definitely evolved. Like the first time, I'm gonna go back and find them. The first time I came on the cast and came on TV, a Big Mood, and that interview versus the next one, and it was just like you could tell the relationship was progressing.
Yeah, progressing. Yeah.
We were getting into heavier stuff. I was getting more vulnerable with you, and then now here we are, like fully integrated on a whole nother like level. So it's dope.
It's tight.
Yeah,
you become one of my circle.
It's fire. Yeah,
I trust you more than I trust most people in the world.
Right.
You know. And I trust that you're gonna make the right decisions for the company.
Exactly.
I trust that you're gonna make the right decisions with my money.
Yeah.
I just trust you. It's hard to find relationships like that. Even though we butt heads, I'll tell everybody.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mike and I will go at it. And we gotta always have.
I think
we're both super alpha.
Yeah.
In a certain sense. I'm not very like typically masculine, but we're both presence.
Yeah.
Like have a presence. And we both take up space.
Yeah.
And like what I've learned, I can give you like when it comes to certain stuff, you just know what I don't know.
Yeah.
So I get to like humble myself and be like, he knows what he's talking about. And you let me go on my little bitch fits and like.
But you know what though, fam? What's something that I'll tell you that I've learned from you, is hope. Hearts over everything. Like because you're right. We've had some crazy blowouts in terms of just two strong energies trying to figure things out. That's iron and iron though. That's biblical.
Exactly.
I don't know if I really would want to take this journey with every man, but I'm happy I'm doing it with you.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm growing as a man. Like I told you, that one that we had at my office, and
we were going at.
And you told me, you're like, bro, don't ever speak to me like that again. And I went and told my wife, bro. I said, I fucked up big time, dude. Like I just like made like one of my homies who like, this dude's not like a punk. Like, not to say that showing emotions is, soft.
But that's just not my style.
That's not your style. Yeah, exactly. That's not your style. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, and I told her, I said, I gotta die to this. Like, I gotta die to this. Like, I gotta figure this shit out. Cause this is not okay.
That's probably one of my hardest, like, not character defects, but just things that need to be circumcised out of my life is just the way I speak to people.
Yeah.
Even with my girl and I got into it, and so I preach healthy communication, and I can stay level headed and have like a conversation. But sometimes I just get into a space where I'm just not a great communicator, and I take up to overspeak people and take up space, and then they feel insulted because like when we're people who lean on intellect like you and I do. People think we're talking down to them. Yeah. People, even if we don't mean to, we just choose. That's the route of communication we choose. So, like, I did it to her the other day. I was like talking at her, and it really hurts people's fucking feelings.
Yeah.
People really get hurt by it.
You know what? It's funny you should say that because I think it actually takes somebody's got to be vulnerable, right? Somebody's got to say something, and. Going back to that particular situation that happened with you and I, at that moment, it was you. You were like, look, man, like you really hurt my fucking feelings and you just don't really need to talk to me like that. And like, and then of course, then there becomes okay, so I got my homie, I got my partner and my friend who's telling me about myself, right? And this is where I have to dig deep and say, okay, like I got two choices here. One, I could just be like, all right, like he's on some bullshit, or really dig deep and really hear what he's saying, hear what you're saying, and humble myself and apologize. And this is where we get into that 10th, right? Promptly admitting. And that's the one that really is the key part for me. It's not just about admitting wrongs and doing nightly inventory, but promptly admitting. It shouldn't always take the let me sleep on it and think about like
quickly
hey man, you know what, bro, you're right, I fucking totally fucked up, I'm super sorry that et cetera, right? So I think that we have a lot to learn from each other. Definitely. Right? And I think that's what ultimately makes the relationship work, is that we go into it with this mutual understanding that like, we're better together. I like how Pastor Miles says it here locally in San Diego. He talks, he's a famous preacher. If you guys don't know him, he's all over social media, but he always talks about better together, you're better together, you're better together. Yeah. And, even with you and I were talking about the marriage, my marriage with my wife. And I think that's ultimately what I walked away with from the conference, was like, we're better together. Yeah. I mean,
my mom would actually made that comment speaking about my current partner Gianna, and I'm just hearing, she can hear how much more grounded I sound, and how just more pleasant I sound. It's not because I need a person to fulfill me, because I really don't need another person to make me feel the feelings that I feel, but I just do better.
Yeah.
I do better when I have someone I'm partnered with.
Yeah.
Living with Dylan, or being in relationship, like having close friends and close people around me, I do better in life that way. When I start isolating and start making all my own decisions, and start self-will, and just start running the show, things go bad.
Yeah. It's right out of the Bible, right? It's not good for man to be alone. And I think sometimes we all, like, of course, like in that moment, God saw it fit to create, a woman, at that point. Nevertheless, I don't necessarily think that God was arriving at that conclusion just based off of like, just like you need a woman, I think he was saying that it's just not good for man to be alone.
No, we're not meant to be.
We're not. Like, we are, and I got a
interdependent.
And I got a couple good mentors and friends who have said it too. Like, we were put on this planet to connect. Like, if you think about it, we're connected to the earth from the moment that we're born, right? We're interacting with the earth, even if it's just on a metaphysical level that you're not consciously aware of until you start growing into that consciousness, and, you actually, really do connect more to the earth. We're connected to our mother or our father, like, and a lot of times people always try to say, oh, you came in this earth by yourself and you're going to leave. Like, that's the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard.
That's a bitter way to look at life.
But it's not true.
Yeah.
You were literally connected through an umbilical cord to another human being.
You're meant to be connected through your whole life.
Yes. That umbilical cord was severed once you were given enough nourishment to grow. But you didn't come in this world by yourself.
It's very American of us to think, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, or like you're an individual and all this stuff. And I'm from the school of thought, like, nah, dude, like, first of all, I'm not special.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain things that I can do or say and act that other people aren't necessarily proficient in that way of carrying themselves. But I feel the same things.
Yeah.
Everybody else is feeling. And it's this idea that we're not interdependent creatures.
Yeah.
It promotes the division that keeps it easy to control 300 million people.
Yeah.
It's easy to control 300 million people when everybody thinks they're their own snowflake.
Yeah.
But when everybody realizes, like, oh shit, like Democrat, Republican, like you want the same shit I want generally, like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And now it's the 300 million people against the powers that be,
Yeah, it's much easier to get everyone to see the differences in one another than rather looking at the similarities and actually celebrating the differences, right? That I think, getting back to what we were talking about earlier about marriage, and, do I really think that, me and my wife are going to make it? Like, yeah, I do. I really do. It's gonna take some dying to self, and You know, I'm a
Isn't that
selfish
what it is, though?
Yeah, I'm a selfish motherfucker. You know, so
That's what it is in relationship. It's the one complete, and it's not sacrificing of yourself, but it is shedding the shedding the individual identity and
Yeah.
becoming the 1 + 1 = 3, the third entity,
yeah,
which is the marriage.
yeah,
But it's like you have to like sacrifice the a lot of the bullshit, like
yeah,
the shit you like to buy, or like the shit you just don't like to do.
yeah.
And that person may need you to do the stuff that you don't particularly like to do.
I
you know?
actually would make the argument that generally speaking, in order for any true relationship to like really thrive, whether it's I'll use marriage since we're talking specifically about marriage. I actually think that generally speaking, the things that you don't like to do are the exact
Things you should be
things
doing.
that are going to make or break
Yeah,
the marriage.
definitely.
When it comes to and I think that God designed it that way for a reason, you know,
Yeah.
because I can honestly say that in the last year of being married, I have become a better person as a
Definitely.
result of my marriage. As a result of becoming a father, as a result of really clinging closer to God and understanding, you know, what the hell is going on inside of me that that I need to correct,
Yeah.
that needs to be plucked out, you know, or cast out or removed, right? Um, I feel like marriage is the crucible that really exposes those things. And my dad is really big on Ephesians chapter 5. My dad's been doing marital counseling, premarital counseling for literally at this point decades. And he talks about Ephesians 5 a lot. And it's interesting because we always get to the submit to one another as God submits. We always go to that verse, which is verses 21 and 22, but there's actually 20 other verses before that that talk about some really heavy stuff. And one of the big ones that it talks about, and it's really three main things: walking in light, walking in love, and walking in wisdom. Okay. Now, for those of you guys who are not like watching the show or like hearing the cast and you're, you know, thinking that this is just going to be a bunch of Bible doctrine, that's not what this is about. This is really just some spiritual principles that really transcend all humanity, if you really think about it.
And if we can exclamate that one thing,
Yeah.
that I speak about God quite a bit. Obviously,
Yeah.
I always have, and it's so easy if you're challenging yourself a little bit. It's not even that much of a fucking stretch. But if you challenge yourself a little bit, you can take anything from any fucking text.
Yeah.
And like grab something wise from it. And the Bible, just like many other ancient texts, it may not, whether it's literal or not, doesn't fucking matter. There's wisdom.
Yeah.
There's wisdom and there's something to study.
Yes, exactly. And I think that that's what ends up kind of getting lost in translation a lot of times with, you know, even talking with some of my homies, we've had these discussions, you know, and sometimes they can get a little jaded about a lot of different things. But the point to this is this, right? For me, walking in light, walking in love, and walking in wisdom has been the three most important lessons. I have not fully learned them yet, but I can definitely say that I'm making progress. And if it wasn't for those three, I think that my wife and I would have fell apart during the season that I was sharing with you, and you know, and you and many others were helping me like walk through that and giving me the practicals. You know, you said something really powerful that I loved, and it stuck with me actually during this season, which was that, you know, man, like it's very important to understand, like if you've dedicated your life to personal growth, like you need to have a partner that like understands that and like really reflects that. And, you know, and it's interesting because I don't think that anybody who's an alcoholic or an addict and like has chosen some sort of A to affiliate themselves with and follow, I don't think anyone in their conscious mind is saying, you know what, I'm committed to personal growth for the rest of my life. You know, that's what I'm committed to doing. Like most of the time it's like, no, dude, I'm just trying to stop.
I'm just trying to
stop getting high. And you know, just try to live. And then what ends up happening is that through that desperation, you end up committing to this life of just constant personal growth. And I think that I had gotten a little pseudo righteous with that. I'm not gonna lie.
I've gone through that too.
Yeah, you know, where and I just turned 5, yesterday. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
not
yeah,
5 years
yeah,
is a long time.
yeah. So I think I got substantial sobriety now,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and I think that the big thing that I'm taking away from 5 is steps 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Just like like it's almost like it's weird because I see the guys who are like at 19, 20, 25, 30, whatever, and they're so like disconnected. They're just like, yeah, whatever, And I used to think like, damn, dude, like it's 30 years or it's 20 years. Like why, like why aren't you celebrating? Like why aren't you celebrating more? But I get it now, and I'm only at 5, so I'm really excited to see what happens at 10 and 15, etc. Where it just becomes a lot simpler.
It just becomes
yeah.
At 5, it becomes a lot simpler.
Yeah.
And that for me, before I went on I'm actually going to come out and speak more about the journey I've been on over the last year.
Yeah.
In the next episode, I have some cool people coming on, but
yeah,
we're not going to fully get into what's going on. But
yeah.
But anyway, like,
but I'll be interested to hear it. Though.
Yeah,
it's
gonna be a cool episode. But what I've been in recovery now, this is my 9th year doing this, and it just becomes so regular.
Yeah,
so it's just. I'm just doing my best. I'm just doing my best. I really don't need to be clapped for.
Yeah.
For doing my best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just trying, and then like in the beginning, you think you know something.
Yeah.
Because it's for a lot of us, this is the thing we've been doing. Being sober is the longest consecutive thing you've ever done.
Yeah. Yeah. For real.
Usually there's some quitting in between or some like fucked up shit. Like, like college, it took me 20 years to graduate college. Like it's always, but I always say, sometimes the steps is the first thing someone completes in their entire life. You know? And in the beginning, you're really righteous.
I love that, dude. That's so good.
Yeah.
Sometimes the steps is the first thing that somebody completes.
You never think about it, right? Like,
yeah, I don't.
Like, people don't think about it. Like,
no, that didn't.
We're not known for follow through. For great, unless it's shooting dope or like getting loaded. Like, I'm not known for good follow through.
Yeah, exactly.
And through 12 step, I started like knocking down accomplishments. Like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I saw that I can do it once I did my steps. Really, I was like, oh, I can actually like do shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point being, like, the longer I'm around personal development, the more it just becomes, this is just the way I live my life.
Yeah.
I live my life in perpetual growth. And I don't text my girl the other day because I readdressed the way I spoke to her again days after, just because I'm like, I want to be like that. If I make a mistake, it can be like, yeah, you make the mistake, let it be over. But also I want to like reiterate that.
You want to crush it.
I want you to know that I know. But I told her, I promised to you that I'm dedicated to growing.
Yeah.
And that's never going to change. My ability and willingness to shift from where I am and to perpetually be getting better, making more money, becoming a better professional, becoming a better father, becoming a better partner, all the areas of life, I should be constantly trying to grow.
Exactly.
And if I'm not, if you're not putting the gas uphill, you're rolling downhill.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. I need to be moving forward.
I love that. And I mean, it's really funny that you should say that, because I think I've made only 2 promises to other than like the vows. Like I've only made like 2 promises to my wife. And I'm very careful about using that P word, but I also like to reiterate to her like my level of commitment to change and to the things that are becoming of like us becoming more unified.
Definitely.
I can just be so in my own bullshit sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
Thinking
the
about
stories a lot.
Yeah,
it's your own nonsense.
And it's like, and I think that what I'm really taking away from this first year of marriage and really year 5 is like, it's just not about you, dude. Like it really isn't. Like it really isn't.
The only reason I'm so happy in the relationship I'm in right now is because, I'm a little older than her. She's newer in her entrepreneurship than I am.
Yeah.
There's a lot I learned from her, which I love that she's so brilliant. And I just can learn. I learn new shit from her all the time. But it's not about me. The relationship's not, what's Eric doing? Like,
because
in the past it was like when I was in my addiction or when I was in sex addiction, it was like, oh, Eric's gonna lose it, or Eric's fucking like everybody was worried about me all the time, or like, you know what I mean? Like it was just watching me, and it's always about me. So Eric's the star of the show, and in this relationship, yes, my needs are met, but it's a lot of time like how I ask her, how can I support you?
Yeah.
What can I do? What can I do for you? Are you happy?
Yeah.
Like are these things like working for you? So it allows me to get outside of myself and to say, like, okay, she's not exactly pleased in this area. So how do I go out of myself and like meet her need?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, I think, what's contributing to this relationship being literally the best relationship I've ever been in.
Yeah, I love that.
Because I'm
you
see,
I've seen you in a few and I see you when you're good, and I've seen you when you're not good, you know, and I can definitely say that your whole headspace is.
She's really been a catalyst for a lot of big.
I can tell. I can tell, and the energy is great, and you know, for those of you guys, Coach Gianna, she's dope, dude.
Yeah, and she now works with us, and she has a whole project.
Yeah.
We can talk a little bit about the grant.
I've
never talked about it like fully in detail on the podcast.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool for us.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. All right. Yeah. So let's switch gears, right? We came out the gates a little heavy on some.
It's good though.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Of course. Right. So check it out, guys. So, Eric and I ended up, becoming, we kind of assembled like Voltron, right? And, ultimately ended up, propositioning the county of San Diego, which for most of you who may or may not know is the second largest county here in the state of California. They currently service well over 2.5 million people per year. They have fiscal budgets north of $5 billion a year, so they're a very big fish. And through Big Mood and Decade Financial and even my other company, Appleton, we put some things together and we propositioned them on a community-based organization grant in order to essentially serve the people of San Diego and here in the county. And they jumped on it. Yeah, they jumped on it, hook, line, and sinker. And it was really great because it's a very competitive vetting process. I actually started this project on my own 2.5, 3 years ago. And over time, it's just sort of evolved. And then Eric came along, and his company is a perfect fit for what the county was trying to do. And it's been a really, really great experience. And so here in the summer of 2022, the county has invested quite a bit of money into a very, very large family justice center that's meant to work with individuals who are dealing with spiritual, emotional, and sexual trauma, elderly abuse, family dynamics, youth and family justice. Man, the list goes on. There's so many demographics that they're looking to serve, but these are some of the core ones. But another big one is youth who have been displaced through some sort of like a drug-induced like family dynamic or war on drugs. Exactly. Right. And so obviously you guys are familiar with Big Mood and what Big Mood does and what they aim to serve. And Decade kind of came on the other side of that with the financial literacy arm of it. And we just sort of, assembled our resources together and proposed this idea to really work with the county in this capacity.
For in the way I look at it, the lens I view it from is we're bringing personal development from woo-woo into like legitimate cultural, this is part of what the community serves. Like part of what the community provides is coaches and mentors.
Exactly.
And real personal growth.
Yeah, that, and also the other thing too, which I love to mention, is that for-profit companies, generally speaking, the government entities, whether it's the United States government or even state governments like California or even local governments here like the county of San Diego, a lot of times they allocate a lot of funding to non-profit, non-government organizations, which there's nothing wrong with those companies. I don't want to get the wrong impression. However, what I think was unique with what we did and what's unique with what the county has now realized is that there is a lot to be gained from working with for-profit institutions. Because when for those of you entrepreneurs who are out there, y'all know what it is. When you are in a business where like your livelihood, your family's livelihood, like your rent and all these other different things are like staked on your ability to execute a vision, you're it brings a different level of pressure in a good way. I think in a good way.
There's stakes on the line.
Yeah, there's stakes on the line, and with that comes high level performance. It comes precision and execution, et cetera, et cetera. And I think what ended up happening with the county is that they began to realize, what? If we look to for-profit institutions to help us institute some of these core philosophies or core programs that we're trying to implement, I think that there might be something there. And believe it or not, guys, Decade Financial and BigMood TV and BigMood are the first 2 grant recipients of this new initiative. So, beautiful thing. Right? It is like 2 brothers from 2 different walks of life, same blood in the same mud though. And here we are today, literally can say that we are partnered with the county of San Diego, which sometimes it still gives me goosebumps to even say stuff like that. I know, bro, it's trippy. It's really trippy. And, so for those of you guys who are listening to this and you're thinking like, man, like, I got some great ideas too, or I got a vision, or I have a business, or I have something that I want to get off the ground. Like, reach out to us. We love to talk with you, especially if you're here local. We love to connect. Even if you're not local, we love to connect. And yeah, let's do this damn thing, because I mean, at the end of the day, like, all it really takes, again, here we go, is the honesty with yourself and saying, what, like, I have something here that I think is valuable, the open-mindedness to be willing to hear feedback from other professionals and other colleagues and other great minds that can pour into the vision, and then the willingness to go out and execute. If you have those 3 things, those 3 ingredients, I guarantee you, like, opportunities will present themselves and you'll be able to capitalize on them in a variety of ways. And what's better than, making money and living your dream, like that's
fulfilling, serving the community is
right. It's lit.
It's popping.
It's lit.
Get out straight. Someone asked, like, actually, me and my girl were laying on the floor the other day. And we were like, we live a really fucking pretty cool life, because really what we do is generally create stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it works, some of it doesn't.
Yeah.
But you create stuff of your own, and you get to help people with the stuff you create.
Exactly.
And you get compensated for it.
Exactly.
So life is pretty
pretty lit.
Chill.
It's pretty
life
lit.
is pretty fucking cool, because your whole life is dedicated to your projects, and how you can impact the world.
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing, right? Is that you are the most important ingredient to the outcomes that you're trying to create with people, places, and things. And, I think so often, I listen to a lot of folks who are still like in the 9-to-5s, and don't get me wrong, like, if you work for an employer, like, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Nothing
right?
wrong with that.
Yeah. But for those of you who feel the itch, if you find yourself constantly bouncing from like career to career and always feeling like you're out of place, it's probably because you have a vision.
Let's stop right there.
Yeah.
How does someone figure out what you did ask me these questions up, but I don't remember the questions.
Yeah.
How does someone find out what their purpose is?
Oh, okay. All right. So, couple of things that you have to do. Okay. First, you have to be open with yourself, right? And just the acknowledgement of like, man, like, I don't feel like I'm walking in my purpose. Okay. Like, so if you can agree to that, then I'm going to try to offer up a few questions that you can potentially ask yourself that will help to, I don't want to sit here and guarantee that like you're going to find your purpose by answering these 3 questions. That's ridiculous. But what I will tell you is that you will get at least in the right ballpark of like where your purpose is at, right? Some of you guys are playing football when in fact you should be on the tennis court, like you're way off base, So this is meant to serve as a guide for that, right? So question number 1, what is something that you love so much that you are willing to do it for free? Okay. What is something that like right now, like, okay, so I'll use me as an example. Go figure. I'm wearing my little Mike the Money Guy gear on today. I love coaching. I love consulting. I love teaching. I love creating, right? I'll do it for free. I mean, hell, I've even taken clients.
We've been doing it.
Yeah, exactly. We take clients on for free just because we're like, dude, I want to help you. Like, I want to work with you. I want to help you, right? So what I've learned is when you do things for free, or like if you're willing to do them for free, chances are the value of the product or the service that you're creating is exponential compared to a person who's only doing it because they're like good at that thing, So that's what question number one. What's something I love so much, I'm willing to do it for free? Okay. Question number two. What is it that you envision you doing with your life if you knew you couldn't fail, if you knew that you were not going to fail, what do you envision with your life? Now, I like to have a lot of fun with the audience when we do this, because normally what happens is that you had two ideas that popped in your head if you're listening to this live. That I want the first idea, that one that came like that guttural instinct one that just popped in your head and you're like, ooh, that's what I would love to do. But then you kind of psych yourself out and say, oh, but and you start thinking logically like, well, what about this? And I had to take me this many years to get there and this and that. No, just stay there. Don't judge your idea. Don't judge yourself. Stay in that framework. The one that when you think about it, it almost scares you. If it scares you, that's good. That's good. Because that means you probably can't do it without help. And that's what's most important. Now, question number three is, what is it that you think about doing for others? Okay. What is it that you think about doing for others that gets you so excited when you think about doing it? It keeps you up at night sometimes when you think about it. Sometimes you just wake up in the middle of the night thinking about that thing. Okay. Normally we call that the obsession, right? And a lot of people like to judge obsession. Obsession is just simply that I think about this thing all the time, or a lot. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to use myself as an example. So there are two subject matters that I've thought about more than really anything else other than Christ and God. So we're just going to put that on the shelf for a second. When it came to my professional career, two things that I thought about all the time. One, money, in the sense of understanding it, how it's transacted, how it's conducted, how it's traded, how you attach value to it, like economics, that kind of stuff. Like I was just enamored with it as a kid. And then number two, technology. I was the kid back in the early 2000s with the, Bluetooth, the size of, the phone. And, I was that kid who always needed the newest and latest gadgets and, was always researching. And, aside from like pulling computers apart, which I never really got into, which I kind of regret I didn't, I've always been obsessed with those two subjects. I think about it all the time. I mean, hell, my wife just told me the other night, she's like, dude, she's like, you need to like chill out because you're like talking tech in your sleep. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? She's like, yeah, last night you were talking in your sleep about something. And she just wrote it down, what I said. And I was talking about something with an algorithm, but I was asleep though. I was definitely asleep. So clearly this is stuff that I'm thinking about, like even when I'm asleep. So, and it gets me giddy. It gets me giddy to think about it, like creating technology solutions, helping people grow financially. I love that shit. And like, so if you can answer those three questions, somewhere in the intersection of those answers, you'll start to kind of have the nucleus of purpose. Okay. So I'm going to repeat them for you one more time, just in case you don't want to rewind. One, what is it that I love doing so much that I'm willing to do it for free? Two, what is it that I envision myself doing if I knew that I would not fail? And number three, what is it that I think about doing for others that gets me so excited that sometimes it keeps me up at night? If you're able to answer those three questions openly and honestly with yourself, somewhere in that intersection, you're going to start finding the nucleus of your purpose. Now, we have other things other tools and other assessment tools that we can use. Eric's got a great program that can walk you through transformational mentorship, 7 Steps Thinking Fit, all the whole gamut. I used to do stuff with M3 and my coaching academy, which I've kind of put on the shelf for now because we got a lot of stuff going on. But the point is, if any of you guys are listening to this, or girls or ladies are listening to this, and you're feeling like, man, I could really benefit from maybe talking with one of you guys, reach out. Don't be a stranger.
The contact info is on the screen.
Yeah.
Mike's and my own. So
So don't. Yeah.
And Gianna is a female coach.
Exactly. So don't. Exactly. Right. So don't be a stranger. Like we're here to support. We're here to help, and we're here to point you in the right direction. Just like a guide. That's really all we are. We're just servants, and we're just trying to help people be their best. You know what I'm saying? So, but I hope you guys find that useful. I hope you guys find that helpful. And as I always say, to God be the glory.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what we're working on, like round 2 with what we're working on with Gianna.
Okay. Yeah. So
where do you I'll tell you what we've been working on.
Yeah,
I want to hear what is your vision for her in the company, and we're gonna have a board meeting.
Yeah, right.
On the
live.
Yeah, live.
Hell yeah! All right, so check it out. So this is what I'm thinking. Overall, is what's going to happen, and you guys can hold us accountable to this because this is getting archived, right? So, with the way that we are aligned with our positioning right now, with the transformational mentorship, we have the financial literacy. I think that Gianna is going to fit the niche for the female market, like hook, line, and sinker. We're talking about the demographic is wide when it comes to the sexual trauma and all the special victims and all other things that the county is trying to advocate for. And I feel like with what Gianna is curating in that program, I think it's going to be filthy in a great way. So what I'm really ultimately thinking about is really formulating all of it into one cohesive university, like I told you, where it is going to be an amalgamation of educational content and courses, and some courses are free, some courses are paid, some courses are just offered to the public as just get involved. I think that she's going to help us pioneer the ones that are going to be specifically targeted to women, and really understanding where they're at and helping to empower the other half of our humanity, which is women. And I think that with what we have been curating, like if you really think about it, we're kind of like a 3-pronged approach, right? So you're really honing in on helping men become better men. Gianna's really honed in on helping women become better women. And then here I am kind of bleeding in the entrepreneurship elements of that, right? Yeah. So it's like once you've become better, once you've become more skilled and developed in your personal identity, right? Now it's a matter of, okay, how do I apply those skills, to essentially solve problems and then attach value to the solving of that problem. Beautiful. That's really what entrepreneurship is. Yeah. And so, and that's where I think that we are going to really be able to create a cohesive unit. The other thing I didn't tell you is that I have another educational program called Appleton Academics that is specific to the youth and entrepreneurship, focusing on the arts and the media, marketing and branding and advertising, and then the basics, business fundamentals or business administration principles 101. So really focusing on those course modalities. We still got Armand King at Paving Great Futures, who's doing amazing work locally. We have Monica Montgomery in District 4, who's like trying to get things going and with the gentrification over there. So there's just so many like converging elements that, like I told you, are going to be centered around that building. They're going to be centered around this sort of pronged approach where that becomes the hub, but then we immediately start breaking out into, and eventually getting the spaces that we're looking for, where we are curating those spaces around the clock, 24 hours a day. So we start at the buildings and then move it into these more intimate settings, communities. Yeah. So I think that that's ultimately where it's going to go. And that's really, really June, summer.
That's where we put on we're launching Gianna's program in June. She has a women's empowerment, womb health, transformational mentorship for women. Okay. On a group level and on an individual one-on-one level. That's what we're going to do with the county. I love it. With her. And, it's making a difference, man. And we're starting. This is such a small, like, chip away.
Oh, dude, guys. So how long have you been running Big Mood?
This is our second year.
Okay. So I've been running DFS for this is year 4, and then Appleton is really year 1.5. I mean, we were founded longer than that, but we shelved the company before I repurposed it to this. And we've already brokered, partnerships with a very large entity. So for those of you guys who are thinking about, again, going into this whole entrepreneurship arena, or if you're thinking about making that leap, like, one, you don't have to do it. You don't have to start out, going from like employee to employer, like in a day. Yeah. Like, you can make that transition smoothly.
I would suggest make the transition.
100%.
Don't do what I did.
Yeah. It's no backup plan. Yeah.
No, but I'm all no plan B. No plan B. So, which is a cool way to do it because you don't.
Yeah, sink or swim.
This is what I'm doing.
Yeah,
like I don't really have any other options, nor do I want any other options.
Yeah,
but also you get this an easier, softer way.
Oh yeah, for sure. And this is one of the things that we've learned over the years, right? Is cultivate multiple options for yourself. It doesn't mean that you're not committed to one option or the other. As a matter of fact, I'd make the argument, do all of them at 100%, because ultimately what will happen is that
cream rise to the top.
Yep. And the opportunities will begin to present themselves as you become more in alignment with God's purpose for your life. And you're not going to be able to get into that if you're half-assing your commitments, So, if you've thought about a business plan, start writing it down, dude. Like really write it down, like really start calculating it and figuring it out. More importantly, start sharing the idea. You can ask all my homies, even when I was in addiction, a lot of my homies knew that I wanted to start Decade.
I've been speaking about making an impact and like doing. My cousin almost says, he's like, yo, it's like God is. He's like, I really see God in what you do. He's like, everything you've been, all the struggles has now put you in this position to do exactly what you're doing, and you speak it into existence. Speak and make it real. And also, when you start telling people what your dreams are, what your goals are, think like, oh, why aren't you working on? Are you still over there?
Yeah, right.
Doing that, like, why aren't you? You know what I mean? Like, people, it's now making this just something that was an idea into something tangible.
Yeah, and I think that that's really what it ultimately ends up happening is that in sales, right? When you first become a salesman or like you're in the sales arena, your manager, your sales trainer will always tell you it's all about getting that first sale. Just get that first one done, because what happens is that there's a weird situation that happens where because you've gone through the process now from beginning of the transaction all the way through to the end where you're, closing out the transaction, you know how to do it now. Like you know what the cycle looks like from beginning to end. And so it becomes easier and easier to go back into that routine. So entrepreneurship is a lot like that, where, you just need to build that first idea. Like take that one idea, attach some value to it, see, like, put it out there, see if people are willing to
get a feel.
Get a feel. Yeah. We call it validating the concept, right? You can validate your concept and see if people are really into it. And who knows, you get that first person who's like, yeah, I'm down to subscribe, or like, I'm down to buy that thing, or I'm down to like, and that's all you need, because now you recognize, man, like this started out like as an idea, like this was just an idea in my head. And now I put pen to paper, or I put some energy behind it. And then I started presenting it to people, and, and somebody liked it. And here we are, and one of my favorite other podcasts I like to listen to sometimes is called How I Built This. And it was interesting to hear them talk, like all these high level executives, guys who like built Airbnb, the guy who built 5 Hour Energy, the guy who built all these different things. Cause like I noticed that they talk about a lot of the same shit we talk about.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like I was like, dude, these guys like low key sound like I sound like these guys. Like it's like it's really bizarre to hear them, and their mindset. And I think that is probably the biggest challenge that everybody really has, is the mindset, of
that's all of it.
Yeah. That's like the imposter syndrome. I know you guys might have heard of that term.
I tell people all the time, you have to delusionally believe in yourself.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with enrollment and like sales.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in what you're selling, no one's gonna buy that shit from you.
Yeah.
If you like, and me and you and I have had this conversation like about languaging or like around certain products that we're trying to create. Like even for me, I know I'm not even gonna be able to speak about it unless I'm fucking excited about it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like entrepreneurship, when it comes to creating whatever it is, whether it's your book, your fucking music, your business, you have to believe in yourself so fucking beyond like rationality.
Yeah.
Because people are going to tell you not to do it.
Yeah.
People are you're going to fail. You're going to fail. What is failing? What is failing really?
Okay, listen. So if you're not failing, then you're really not succeeding.
Exactly.
Like straight up. Like God, I hate when I sound like Tony Robbins or one of these motherfuckers. Like it's the truth though. It's the truth. Like I have an acronym for FAIL: fascinating and inspirational learning, is what that's mine, right? And dude, I almost lost my company like a year and a half ago. Yeah, like no doubt, like no, all jokes aside, like I made some bad decisions, got involved in a transaction that I thought was going to bear a ton of fruit, and it just did not. As a matter of fact, it was the complete opposite. And I went through a little bit of identity crisis, if I'm not gonna lie. I was really in a dark place. And it wasn't the failure part of it that really it just, I was, for the first time, I questioned my own purpose. Like I questioned whether or not I was doing the right thing. I questioned whether or not I was, was this business really what I thought it was supposed to be, or what I thought God told me it was supposed to be. But through that failure, through that journey, through the valley, man, did I learn some really powerful, like, oh man, it's crazy, because now on the other side of with Appleton, our company is growing at a really, really fast rate. And because I've gone through that previous failure, it's given me so much insight into things that we need to like watch out for. Things that we need to be careful about. That's how these last
12 months. You've heard about the mistakes I made, finally finding some financial success and then going hood rich and like, did some real big word shit and just like, I don't say that word, but did some real whack shit and learned my lesson. And, but there's been a succession of failures that have rolled me and like been an amalgamation of beautiful lessons that have made it so I actually have a little bit of fucking wisdom and discernment in like the way I move in, even with most of the learning has been with clients. Yeah. Cause I made some poor spending habits that I'm just shaking off. Yeah. Now that I'm in my 30s, I think a lot of that was just ridiculous youth, but like the way I deal with clients and the way I facilitate holding space has absolutely transitioned and transformed through failing with clients. Yeah. Not every single client of mine has succeeded. Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, I think I definitely have had more failures than successes. And let me tell you this, results may vary based on your participation. That's a big one. It's a big one because a lot of people are excited until the work is there to come. Yeah. And then you see people who work with the coach and they're not making six figures. Do you know why? Because you're not willing to go to any length. I mean, bro, if you play all out, if you play with me or we play with you or play with Gianna or play with Dylan, all out, you're gonna succeed. Yeah. If you play all, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. If you play all out with the wackest coach, you might do pretty well. Listen, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, for those of you guys who are interested or considering hiring a coach or like whatever, let me fucking tell you this right now. All right. There's like three main things that are very important about a coach. There's only really one. You need to ask your coach, what have you done? Like, show me your resume, or, for a moment, right? Like brag about yourself and tell me some of the things that you've accomplished, right? Because this goes all the way back to even something as simple as AA. Like, I'm not rocking with a sponsor who does not have what I want. Like, if I'm looking at your life and your life doesn't, and I'm not talking about the Instagram life or the fucking social media life. Or the cash and prizes. Yeah. No. The quality of your life. Yeah. I'm talking about like, are you okay with not being okay? Yeah. And you're cool with that. You're cool with sitting in the mud and being like, no, right now I'm kind of shitty, and there's a sense of comfort that comes from that authenticity that like a lot of people don't have. Right. So like when you're looking at your coach or you're evaluating your coach or whatever that is, like, do they have that? Right. Number two, are you willing to be accountable? Okay. Are you willing to be accountable? Because you really only hire a coach for two reasons and two reasons only: accountability and acceleration. That's it. Okay. I am trying to do the thing that you've done and I'm trying to do it faster than you did, and then I want to make sure that I actually complete it. That's it.
That's it. Everything else is just kind of just blah blah blah. Like, do you have something that I want, or like, do I see you like kind of emulating a lifestyle from the inside out? That's something that I want
from the inside out.
From the inside, oh, dude, it's literally the most important.
Come on, somebody,
bro. I mean, bars, right? It's actually the reason why I stopped coaching, straight up, because like I recognize that like with where I'm at in my development, I needed to disqualify myself a bit as a coach. And there was some things in my emotional sandbox. There's some things in my toolbox that I needed to really kind of dig out from the roots. And so I thought that it would be more prudent in this season of life that I'm in, even though I am an executive and, a leader and all this other bullshit. Like, I felt like it was important for me to become a student again and to be a student, and learn from, guys like E, learn from my bishop and my father and my other mentors that I have in my circle, and really just be a student for a while before I got back in the teacher seat. You know what I'm saying? So, I will tell you that, like, I think that stuff is like exponentially important, because most coaches who are living it, they don't have to make guarantees to you about you gonna, like, how you're gonna be successful, because they're living it. Like, they're just going to show you what they've done. That's it. So like, if you have a coach who's not living that life authentically, like, dude, like, I just don't, I don't know how I don't know how their program is going to last. I just don't, that's just me. Now again, like I said, the accountability component is extremely important, and the acceleration. That's it. Your coach should be telling you, or they should be able to tell you that I can help you get to that goal faster than you doing it on your own. Because again, this is where we're talking about the failures, right? Because I failed so many times.
I can tell you, I know exactly what not to
do. Exactly.
And I know exactly what questions to ask. It's about good questions and knowing what not to do.
Exactly. And so that's really where I think a lot of great coaches separate themselves that way, where they really are open and transparent about their mistakes. They're open and transparent about their failures, and they're open about like that accountability and that acceleration. I think that if you are looking for those things, then I think you'll find a good home. But for those of you that think that it's weird, because entrepreneurship is simple, but it's not easy.
Fuck, it's not easy.
Oh no, it's not easy at all.
It's kind of like eating dog shit and like winning, and then eating dog shit more, and then winning something, like winning a prize, and then like eating it again. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, my boy was like, yeah, it's terrifying but great. Like, I was like, because he's in real estate. He's like, I'm like, how's it going, man? It's terrifying but great. Like, that was the word. That's perfect.
Yeah, no,
it's a perfect way to describe it.
No, it really is, though, because again, it's sink or swim. But if you begin to start applying like some very like simple principles, what ends up happening is that over time, if you do this correctly,
and if you keep doing it,
you keep doing it. The consistency is key. Because I'll tell you, like, the year one in DFS,
Mike met me in 2017 when I was just a personal trainer.
Yeah, just
trying to have a full schedule, and I've been at it.
And my boy was up at like 03. It was like my guy. I was calling my guy at like 5 a.m. He was like, and he was already up. Like, he's like, yo, like, I'm waiting for my client to get. So that means that he had to be up at least like around 3:30, 4. I'm like, bro,
dude,
what?
I've been at it though. That's the thing. Like, all the shit like that I'm not talking from a place of like, oh, I'm just starting out. No, I've been fucking trying and been failing.
Yeah,
been failing. I did not do it. I've been so broke before. I've been so broke. And honestly, when you have a baby mom and you're broke, it's not a good look.
It's not a good look.
It's not a good
look. Not a good look.
But I've been out in the streets. It's the point. It's what I'm saying. Let's keep going. That's my point. But we're gonna wrap up.
Okay.
But plug your stuff and go on.
Oh yeah, okay. So all right, so I'll give you my 30-second, 45-second elevator pitch. So Decade Financial. One-stop shop for all things credit and money related. If your credit score begins with a 4, 5, or 6, hit up decadesolutions.com, decadesolutions.com. Okay.
We'll put a link for them.
Yeah, we'll put a link to it, right? Appleton Automations, that's the other company. That's all technology-driven solutions. We've built a all-in-one marketing automation software called the M3.
Which my company uses. It's fucking fire.
It's pretty lit. It's pretty lit stuff. I think you guys would enjoy it. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that, go to MikeTheMoneyGuy.com/services, MikeTheMoneyGuy.com/services, MikeTheMoneyGuy.com/services. There's like 5 or 6 different appointments there. Custom calendar configurations I did myself. I'm really proud. No Calendly bullshit, none of that nonsense. Yeah, it's not, we don't need none of that. So, but yeah, so if you guys are interested in any of those things, feel free to reach out and we'll take care of you and get you set up. Make sure you mention the show, because we have discounts for folks who come through the Big Mood Network. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm super proud. This is my brother right here. And the success that we found, we've been incorporated, 13 months. And I've made more money in 13 months than I made in all those years trying to, I asked him, I said, hey, I want to make $10,000.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that was, okay. So I know we got to wrap up, but I have to mention this, because this was a big thing. Setting intention about what it is that you want from your life. So E had just came from a conference and my boy was on fire and he hit me up. Now, mind you, we've known each other for years. So it wasn't like a random guy, but we had never really talked business, you know what I'm saying? And so he hits me up and he says, yo, dog, I hear you're the guy. Like, I know you coach, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm trying to take this thing to the next level. And I think you're my guy. And it was crazy too, because like, he wasn't trying to nickel and dime. Like he wasn't even interested in me going through the full breakdown of the program. He was just like, I know you're my guy. I know we can do business together. I know I'm trying to grow and I think you're my guy to do it, like to help me get there. And within a very short period of time of us really kind of fine tuning, because this is the thing. He already had the intangibles. See, he had the mindset, he had the openness, the honesty, and the willingness to put in the work for anything that he was trying to accomplish with Big Mood. And so to me, I was thinking to myself, like, that's like the trifecta. Like, in my opinion, like that's all you really need. And he was obviously, we're in recovery together. So he's willing to take suggestions and all this other stuff. So it wasn't, I don't really like taking credit for any of your success, because I really think that, all I really did was just kind of
help dialed it in.
Yeah. You just really help you see a few things,
And the reason I still want you close, and as long as we're in business, I want you close, is because you keep me dialed in.
Yeah.
I can call Mike and be like, what are some actionable steps I should be taking right now? Like, things are moving. Yeah, things are moving, but there's always actions I could be taking. And I'll have a meeting with Mike, and my girl and I will have a meeting with Mike, or Dylan and I, anybody on the team, and we'll figure out what the fucking actionable steps are. So if you need a consultant, if you're working with a consultant or working with a coach, next indicated steps.
Yeah.
And I was ready to do that. I was just ready to take those
exactly. Sessions. And guys, I'll be the first one to tell you, like, I'm not, some fucking guru that just has it all figured out. Like, that's not the case at all. Like, I have had the luxury of having some super sick mentors, like some dope ass high level mentors who have really helped me dial in some stuff. You know what I'm saying? And even now, like my bishop, he tells me now, he's like, you're a 218 guy. And his thing is 222. I don't want to get into it, the degrees of 222, but basically he's telling me right now in my life, he's like, you're missing like 2 things. It's like 2 little things that you're missing, but he won't tell me what they are. He's like encouraging me to go diving in my little sandbox and go find them. So don't think that at any point that, like, when you get to that level of whatever it is that you're trying to do, that there isn't more room to grow, because there's always more room to grow. Yeah, there's always more room to grow.
If you think you got the shit figured out,
you're on slippery. Yeah, you're on dangerous ground.
It's
on dangerous ground.
You should never feel like you have it figured out.
Yeah,
and it's cool to be a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah,
right. Like through the years, I'm a little bit more comfortable making certain decisions or in certain rooms, but I never feel like, oh, I got it made.
Yeah, no,
I never feel like you always need to be chasing.
Yeah, stay hungry, folks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mike, thank you for everything you've done for me. Thanks for coming on the show.
Of course, man.
This is podcast like number 4. He's been on the show since the first year we've done it. So it's been with us. It's been a
journey, dude. It's been a journey.
Man. I appreciate you, bro. Yeah.
Love you, fam, bam. Go.